What's going on, Panthers fans? You're watching Panthers Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Tyler Smith, and the worldwide leaders over at ESPN just made a huge prediction for a move the Panthers might just make this offseason. We're going to break it down on today's show. Before we do, though, make sure you go down below and hit that subscribe button here at Panthers Today. We're in a race to 2,000 subs. Just want to thank you guys, by the way, for helping us get past 1,500. So much support has been shown to this channel. Cannot thank you guys enough. But we are in second right now out of the new channels we've launched here at Chat Sports. The Rams Report, with them making it all the way to the NFC Championship, have lapped us in the race. So if you guys want to beat the Rams off the field and be the #1 most subscribed to new channel at Chat Sports, go down below and hit that sub button for free Panthers content every single day. All right, so ESPN predicts the Panthers will make a blockbuster move and sign the top edge rusher on the market in Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson. This would be a monster move for a Carolina Panthers pass rush that just wasn't all that impressive this season. It's an area where they can improve, and this would absolutely be a splash signing. Aaron Schatz at ESPN saying the following on the potential move, saying the Panthers will pay big money to Trey Hendrickson. The Panthers ranked 24th in pass rush win rate this season, and while they took 2 edge rushers high in the 2025 draft in Nick Scorton and Princely Umanmielen, they could use a steady veteran to lead the attack. I mean, a steady veteran, that's underselling Trey Hendrickson a little bit. This is a move that would get Panthers fans fired up heading into next season. Look, Dan Morgan's been here a couple seasons now, and even though the Panthers have made great strides, they've made the playoffs, the roster still on paper just maybe isn't where we want to see it a few years into this regime. This is a move that tells you, okay, this front office is for real. The Panthers are going and ready to win now. This is a win now type of player. Now, the way that this is all going to work, the Trey Hendrickson and Cincinnati Bengals relationship that's been going on for, it seemed like multiple seasons at this point, has been strained. And now at this point, I think it's broken. I don't see Trey Hendrickson re-upping with Cincinnati. He's wanted a long-term deal there for the longest time. They haven't given it to him. He's been a trade candidate. He's requested a trade. He's on a 1-year deal right now, or was at least in 2025. But it's just been a big will they, won't they with Trey Hendrickson. I think that situation, that relationship is finally coming to an end this offseason where he hits restricted or unrestricted free agency once again. In 2025 wasn't his best year. He was limited to 7 games, though, got injured throughout the season. Back in 2024 and 2023, though, this is a guy who compiled 35 sacks in 2 years. And one thing about the Panthers defense, they didn't get sacks this past year. Like, they were one of the worst sack teams in all of football. Now look, they're young talent. Princely and Nick are gonna surely develop here over the next few seasons, but the Panthers just made the playoffs. The time to strike is right now. You got a quarterback on a rookie contract. Like, this is the time where you make big splash signings like this to get yourselves over the top. But it's not going to be without big-time competition. Trey Hendrickson is the top edge rusher on the market. So surely some other teams, certainly some other contenders around the league are going to be looking at Trey Hendrickson's services. Now, Hendrickson is a guy who's played under Dennis Allen before, the current defensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears. So could a reunion be in store there? The Bears pass rush is certainly something that they would like to improve upon this offseason. One thing we know, as a Panthers team that made the playoffs, a Chicago Bears team that made the playoffs, the reason that those teams don't end up winning those big-time playoff games is large in part due to having a weak pass rush and not being able to get to the quarterback at a high enough clip. Some other teams around the league, the Raiders, the Colts, the Commanders, they could all be in the edge rusher market as well. And Hendrickson being the top guy, I'm sure they're going to pursue him at some point this spring. So with that being said, with them having a ton of competition around the league, the Panthers having a bad pass rush themselves, this is a necessity. What could a contract look like for Trey Hendrickson here? Well, SpotRack has the market value set for him at about $25.4 million a season. He is 31 years old, so I don't know if I would throw out a crazy long-term deal like a 4-year contract like Hendrickson has kind of been wanting and asking the Bengals for the past few seasons. I would go along the lines of something like 3 years, $75 million, and maybe give me an out after 2 years. I don't think $25 million is too much to command for Trey Hendrickson. It's not the $30 to $40 million that the Max Crosbys and the Myles Garretts of the world are making. But it's enough to show him that he's a well-respected edge in this league. We know what type of production that he can have, and $25 million is nothing to shake your head at by any means. But I would, with him being 31 years old, I probably would give an out after 2 years of a 3-year, $75 million deal that I'd offer. With that being said, is it something you guys would do? Should the Panthers sign Trey Hendrickson? Be the general manager for me down in the comment section and type S for sign or P for pass on if Carolina should go after the top edge rusher on the market. Look, they need to add some sort of edge rusher this offseason because you heard it from Schatz at ESPN who said 24th in pass rush win rate this season. There ain't any other nerd stats to save the Panthers with what their pass rush did in 2025. 31st, second worst in the league in total pressures getting to the quarterback. But hey, pressures aren't everything. I don't want pressures. I want sacks. Get him on the ground. Oh, wait, they didn't get him on the ground either. A 5.3 sack percentage, bottom 5 in the NFL, 1.7 sacks per game, bottom 3 in the NFL, and then the second worst PFF pass rush grade as a team at 60.5. That is below average, and it was a below average unit. And you got to couple that in with the fact that they got some guys who, although weren't that productive, are going to be not productive at all if they're not on the team. They got some edge rushers that are going to be free agents this offseason. Meanwhile, DJ Wonnum is 745 snaps deep this season. That's second on the team per all the edge rushers. Travis Gibson, he has 178 snaps this past year. That's fourth on the Panthers depth chart in terms of edge rushers and snap count. So they're going to have to replace these guys and upgrade at the same time. So who knows? Trey Hendrickson's a name that I'm sure they're going to pursue if they don't end up getting him. Let's maybe talk about some other names that the Carolina Panthers could go out there and target. Trey Hendrickson obviously being the big fish here, 31 years old, but outside of him in the free agent department, I mean, it's clear that Trey Hendrickson is the top dog here. Khalil Mack, 34 years old. Hassan Reddick, 31 years old, and he's had some locker room issues in the past. Joey Bosa, often injured, 30 years old, and kind of fell off a cliff toward the tail end of the season for Buffalo. Malcolm Koonce just, to me, isn't the big-time upgrade or splash that Carolina needs at this position. Look, Trey Hendrickson is clearly the marquee name in the free agency market, not only at the edge rusher position, but really across the league, across all positions. So he's going to be sought after. He's going to get a big payday. If I was Carolina, I would open the checkbook, though, and get some numbers going. If they don't and they want to go in the draft at edge here and prioritize that spot again early like they did in 2025, here's a couple of names. I mean, David Bailey out of Texas Tech, Ruben Bain. These guys are going to be gone before pick 19 based on everything that we've heard so far. You have Mesidor, Bain's teammate there with the Miami Hurricanes. He's an absolute freak. Keldrick Falk of Auburn, he could potentially fall down to 19, and so could Cassius Howell of the Texas A&M Aggies. Just a couple of names there in the NFL draft this year that Carolina could go after at that spot. Look, I would rather sign Trey Hendrickson than take edge at 19. You just prioritized edge early in the draft last year. I would sign Trey Hendrickson, make a different position a priority at pick 19, and then see what other free agency moves you can make around this team. I'd bring in Trey Hendrickson. I'd bring in Devin Lloyd as well at off-ball backer. I'd make some big splash free agency signings this offseason. Look, it's win now mode for Carolina. In terms of maybe if you don't want to do free agency or the draft and you still want to make a big splash, you could go after a trade. Jermaine Johnson, the second over with the New York Jets, is a name that's constantly floated around as a trade candidate. Kayvon Thibodeau over the New York Giants. Who knows what John Harbaugh wants to do there? I mean, you could get a pretty priority draft selection for Kayvon Thibodeau, I would assume, at this point. Just 25 years old. He had a really good season this past year. So maybe Carolina goes after that. But Max Crosby, I mean, you want to talk about blockbusters. They could make a blockbuster Max Crosby trade this season, this offseason, I should say. The relationship between Crosby and the Raiders is pretty strained at this point. And I said in my perfect offseason, a perfect offseason for the Carolina Panthers would include a Max Crosby trade. So if there's no Trey Hendrickson, if he decides Carolina is not for me, I'd rather stay in the Midwest or something like that, maybe go to Indianapolis or Chicago or who knows. I heard some things floated around about Hendrickson going to the Baltimore Ravens, in division rival as well. So if that's not the case for Carolina, then I would go after a trade, and I'd call up Las Vegas and make them tell me no for Max Crosby. With that being said, who is your guy? Who's a player, regardless of position, whether it's edge rusher or something else? Name a player that the Panthers need to add this offseason. I don't care. It could be Tom Brady for all I care. Like, seriously, get creative in the comment section and comment down below a player that the Panthers need to add this offseason. Now, before we get out of here, I want to make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. That will do it for today's show. We are on that race to 2,000 subs here with the Rams Report, the folks who beat us on the field. Let's beat them off the field here. Let's get to 2,000 subs. Go down below, hit that subscribe button for free Panthers content all the time. And as always, folks, keep pounding.